Okay, so I'm going to, we left off here with the z-spheres. What in the world is going on now? It's crashing constantly. I've tried this video about 3 times, so anyway, I did some adjustment before. It's a bit lumpy and stuff, and obviously the shoes are not very good. They need a lot of work. The other thing to note is his hands are kind of twisted back the way I've done them. So I'm going to fix the hands. I'm going to rotate them through. I'm going to leave the shapes that I have, but I am going to split it and then separate it into separate subtools so that I can then sculpt each piece individually. So first is the hands. So I'm just going to hide the image here. So Control, right, to do a mask, or Control drag to hide it, but you can also just mask off a region like that. And then if I go in here to masking, you see that I can just blur the mask a little bit just to soften it so that it's not such a hard transition. Then Control tap to invert the mask. I'm going to rotate, and I've got 2018, so I've got the gizmo here, but if you have the gizmo, you can hit this upside down raindrop and it's going to center it so that it's going to spin kind of on its axis. If you don't have, and you're still in 2017, why are you still in 2017? You can use this gizmo. It's the same thing. I mean, you can click and drag to draw whatever you want. It's this white circle. You tap it, it's going to center it. And then because I'm going to be rotating it, I want it aligned with the z-axis like this, because I'm going to go in the side view, I'm going to show my image, and I'm going to rotate this red circle inside the outer orange circle, and that's going to kind of rotate the hand in place. And if you have the gizmo, it's great because you've got like moves and rotates and everything in one. So we can kind of come in here and make some sort of adjustments to get the hand in a slightly better place. And then that blur, by blurring your mask, really helps kind of soften that transition. So if I hide the image, if I go Control drag to clear my mask, Shift F to show the wireframe, zoom in here, and you can see it's a bit twisty. So maybe what I'll do is go back to draw. I'm gonna go BCL for the regular clay brush, hold down Shift, and I can just come in here and start to clean up a little bit of this twisting motion, and maybe even in the hands here, because I wasn't super accurate with the fingers. I really would have spent more time making them the same size and whatnot. And then this thumb obviously needs work and things. But maybe before we get there, I'm just going to hit F, which is going to focus the camera, and Shift drag, and then F again. So now it's time to cut it into pieces. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make polygroups, and then I'm going to separate based on the polygroups. So for that, Control Shift at the same time, and you get your select rectangle. So remember your select rectangle, right? Anything that's in the green box is kept and everything else is hidden. Control tap will bring it back. Control drag inverts the selection. But what we're going to do instead is I'm going to hold down Control and Shift. I'm going to tap on the brush because I don't want the select rectangle. I want to go over here to the slice curve. I'm going to grab the slice curve. So now when I hit Control and Shift, the slice curve is going to come up. And I can go Shift P. And I'm just going to dolly in here, zoom in. I'm going to start, I guess, with the head. Now, Control Shift, and when you drag, you can see you get a line, and everything on the shaded side is going to be sliced. So I want a curve. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to come down here. Now, the other issue with this is because our character's got arms and stuff, it helps if you can sort of start way off, away from everything, because if I just do it here, there's a possibility that, you know, it might cut the arm or something. So I'm going to sort of start, well, let's try it first, and then if it doesn't work, we'll switch it to the other way. So Control Shift, I'm going to start dragging. I can let go of all the buttons now, and when I tap the Alt, I'm going to get a curve point. You see that curve point? So I'm going to tap it again, tap it again, tap it again, and then drag up and let go. So it's going to be a bit crooked in here, but what you end up with is you get a new poly group for the head. And I'm just making sure I didn't slice anything else up, so that looks good. Then I am going to come in here and I'm going to slice this arm. So again, Control Shift, and I need to know which way the shaded side is, so that's correct. and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to double tap to get a straight line. Double tap and then drag that out. And even though my symmetry is on, I don't know why it doesn't work for this tool. I thought it did, but it doesn't matter. So I've sliced one arm off from where the shirt is. I'm not going to do the other side because we're going to mirror this to get the polygroup mirror to the other side. And I guess the last thing would be, oh no, we got to do the shirt. So Shift P. This time I'm going to come from the other direction because I want to separate down. So I'm going to do Control Shift. I'm going to start out here somewhere. And I'm going to come down, and again I'm going to just tap the Alt. And then now I'm going to just come out here somewhere. And hopefully it didn't snip off the tip of my finger. Sometimes it does that. So let's just check. Yeah, that's fine. So that did the shirt. Now, I don't know about the back, but at least it's kind of cut. And then the last thing is the feet. So again, I'm going to start on this side because I want the shaded to be down. So I'm going to go Control Shift, and again I'm going to start out here somewhere. I'm just going to do a straight line this time, and then spacebar will allow me to move this around, and I'm going to then find the bottom of his pants and just cut like that. Shift P to hide the image, and it looks about right. And then what I want is another arm on the side. So I'm just going to go to Geometry, and I'm going to go Modify Topology, and I'm going to say Mirror and Weld, and the X is already highlighted. So Mirror and Weld, it always takes this side of the character and mirrors it to the other side. So now we have a symmetrical character in case our Z-spheres were off, as well as I have the polygroup on the other side. And then we're going to want to have all of these pieces separated out. So what I'm going to do is go to my subtool menu, and I'm going to go down here to Split, and I'm going to say Group Split, wonk, and then it's going to warn you it's undoable. And now if I look, I have subtools. So I have rename, it's Pants, and this one is rename Arms, and this is rename Shoes, and then this is his shirt, rename, and last but not least his head, so rename Head. And now that we've got them separated, it's great. I can do a multitude of things. I can come down here and say dynamic solo, and it will just isolate or solo the piece, the subtool that I'm on. I can turn off the eyeballs on everything, and then that way only the subtool that I have highlighted is the subtool that's visible because I don't have any eyeballs on. Or I can eyeball everything, and I can do stuff like, well, if I want to work on the head, I can go up to the head, and I wonder if this will work. So Shift, I want to go back to my select rectangle, and if I tap on that, it's supposed to isolate it, but I guess because it's already in a subtool, that portion doesn't work. So that's fine. So probably what I would do is if I wanted to work on each piece, I'd either use the eyeballs or just a quick dynamic solo and then start to sculpt each individual element. So we're ready to do some of the detail work. That was just a quick, one of the ways to separate this out. It's probably the easiest way. And now that I've done that, maybe a couple of things, like if I go to the arms and I tumble around, you see the inner surfaces aren't visible, and I always really hate that. So I'm going to go to down here to display properties, and I'm going to say I want double-sided so that I at least have an inner surface that I can see. And I believe that should do that for everything. Oh no, per subtool. Well, that is brutal. Display properties, double. So as I go through and model these, I'll be turning on the double-sided for each of these. Shirts is a good one to start on, I think. Display properties and double. And then what we can do is start to model this out a bit. So I'm going to leave that though. I will turn on all the eyeballs here to finish this. Oh, there are. Good. I've got dynamic solo on, so I can turn that off. And Shift F, turn that off. And you can always tell which subtool is active because it's the one that's light and all the other ones look like they've been masked or grayed out. And you can rearrange these, like usually the head would be at the top, so you can do this. So you can just move this through the ranks. So it would be head, and then it would be shirt, and then pants, and then arms, and then shoes or something. Doesn't really matter. So you can organize these. And you also have a scroll wheel, so if you end up with a whole bunch of them, you can kind of scroll through to find the subtool you want to work on. But the dynamic solo is pretty good. You can just pick a thing and it'll just isolate it for you, or you can show them all. Okay, so that was just a quick video on how to break your stuff up, and then in the next video I'll probably just maybe do a quick working of some of the features, and then maybe just jump back to a sort of pseudo finished product. The next step, we're still in Dynamesh, and when we're in Dynamesh we're not worried about details. When we're in Dynamesh we're worried about shape and volume and that kind of thing. The detail work we're going to do once we've come out of Dynamesh. I'm still not sure whether we're going to do that in class or not, but we'll sort of see how it goes. Okay, so I'll post this up.